Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cyclical Investors Club YouTube channel's relaunch, sort of. I'm going to start by saying you're going to be seeing a lot more YouTube videos from me starting right now. And I've been kind of building up to this. I sort of laid the framework for it a couple years ago with some YouTube videos that I made. And my strategies usually can take a few years to play out. So I wanted to put a few, like a sampling out into the world beyond Seeking Alpha, which is where I normally write and where my marketplace service is. And so we're going to check in on all those suggestions that I made back in January and February of 2021. So almost 3 years ago now, like two and three quarters. And I'm also just going to make some kind of general announcements about what to expect coming up. The main thing that I want to let everyone know is that I am now taking requests here. You just go to the comment section of any of my videos here, especially this one since it's going to be the most recent. And if you ask me to analyze a stock that is a member of the S&P 500, I will make a video of it and we'll put it on here, and I'll just take requests of what people would like me to, what they want to know about. Now, a little bit of a framework around that. I have like 4 strategies that I use, and I'll be coming at it from and then also kind of a macro view of things. I'll be coming at all these from my specific point of view. That doesn't mean that if a person has a different strategy that they're using, maybe it's like a momentum strategy or something, that they can't make money or do whatever. But this will just be how I personally think about it when I look at whatever stock it is and try to figure out if that's something that I want to invest in. So drop the requests in the comments and I'll queue them up, and I'm going to just start making videos to reply to those. Soon, probably within the next week, I will also have a Patreon account set up, and there I'll take requests from for any stock, whether it's in the S&P 500 or not, as long as I can get easy access to the financial information. And we'll get that set up, and then members of Patreon will get a really big discount to my like full service, the one that I've been running for almost 5 years now, over on Seeking Alpha, the Cyclical Investors Club. And so that'll be kind of how things go. I'll make videos about S&P 500 stocks for free here. If you want just a little bit more than that for just a tiny little bit more money, and then kind of priority in terms of how fast I can make these videos, then we'll do Patreon, and then members there will also get like a giant discount on my normal full service that has like spreadsheets. You can chat with me basically any time of the day as long as I'm awake, and I usually get back to people right away. I have all the data, all the different spreadsheets, explanations of all the strategies, my macro views, my pretty much any view, government policy, as long as it affects stocks, stuff like that. You basically get all that there. So it'll kind of be those 3 things. And that's how I think we're going to be doing this for the foreseeable future. And hopefully everybody gets a little something, and you guys can learn a little bit about how I do things and whether that's maybe right for you. And my main goal is to help individual investors get better returns, like better than average returns. Definitely better returns than they might otherwise have gotten if they were just investing on their own. So a lot of what I do, I think one of my biggest strengths is warning people about the dangers of stocks, of particular stocks, and that can hopefully help save people money. And then every now and then we'll get something that's like worth buying too, and I'll write about that or make videos about that as well. But I think the main service that I can do, everybody's out there trying to sell people stuff, it seems like, promote stocks in different ways. And I think that usually most value is had by knowing the stocks to avoid or to wait on. And so that's kind of how I think I can provide the most value to people, because I'm not really interested in selling you anything other than just trying to help you get better returns and hopefully avoid mistakes that I've made before or that I see other people making that I think could happen. So with that, we're going to review all these 20, I think there's 20 stocks that I covered last early 2021. We're going to see how they did. I had basically 3 different categories that these fall into. One of them are what I call the void stocks. These are stocks where there's dangers out there that could materialize. It's hard to know when they will materialize exactly. Some of them might not, but the dangers I saw that I could see were definitely there. And so these would be stocks maybe that I would just kind of avoid. Maybe they're too hard. Maybe there's like a risk or something there that people aren't really taking into account. The next one are stocks that, okay, they're high enough quality businesses, like usually they're really high quality businesses, but the valuations and the price that the people were paying in the market was just way too high. So for me, those are like I call those sell stocks. Like if I own them and they were that expensive, if the future returns were that expected to be that low, then those are stocks that if I owned them, I would sell. And then the final category were stocks that I actually bought and that I thought were buys at the time. I've sold like half of those since then, but we're just going to go through them. I did cover this once before, and I told everybody which ones I had sold. I don't think it's changed too much since whenever that last video was made, but we're going to look at those too. So let's just see how they did. The idea here is just to show that, you know, I'm just like not making things up. Usually once we get to that 2 to 5 year time frame when you're talking about valuations, that's when you start to see them kind of weigh on the stock price. Stock prices can ignore valuations for a pretty long time. But usually when you get to like that 2 to 5 year range, looking into the future, that's when you can really see the valuation or the risks might have more time to also emerge, come into the stock. So let's see. We're going to start here with let's actually start with the voids. All right. So we had 6 stocks that fell into this category. So these are the dates that I released the videos or made the videos. I did adjust these returns here for dividends, like total returns. So it'll be as if the dividend was reinvested, if they had a dividend, as if it was reinvested into the stock. And then we have the S&P 500 return if you bought that on the same date instead of the warning stock that I was saying, okay, there's some risk here. You should probably just avoid this one. You're probably better off just in the S&P 500. That's basically what I was saying on these. Now, we haven't had a recession yet, so I think there is still time for these dangers to kind of play out, but we have had a bear market, so it's kind of in between there. You know, maybe we avoid a recession, maybe we don't, but we're checking in here, and then if we do get a recession, we can look back and we can see, okay, how did it go during the recession? So as we can see here, if we take the average of all these, the worst performer was Carnival. That was a pretty easy one for me. People were really hyped up on the reopening and the vaccines and everything for the cruise lines. Carnival kind of substituted for all the cruise lines, but it was at the apex of kind of the COVID stuff. And I've actually been avoiding this one since 2018, and it's down like 80% or something since then. But at the time that I warned people here, yeah, I mean, that basically came true. Tesla is one that I still think has dangers. I did write an article about the potential cyclicality of Tesla's business. But as you can see, it's underperformed the market by 20% since I put that article out. 25% actually. And Carnival underperformed by almost 48%. Now, Wells Fargo's actually done a little better than expected. I wouldn't quite have thought that they would do that well, but we'll see how things progress. And the rest of these guys are positive, and even some slight outperformance of the S&P 500. Again, I think these are still overvalued. But in the end, when you average it all out, the returns were positive on these over almost 3 years. So maybe we'll call it 2 point, something percent a year. Not much. But they did underperform the S&P 500 by about 9%. So I think overall that's pretty good, especially when you consider we haven't had a recession yet. I wouldn't feel bad about missing out really on any of those, especially if you take the average. Next, let's look at the sell suggestions. So these were stocks that were good businesses, but they were just really overvalued, okay? And that meant the returns were probably going to be low. So right off the bat, we can see that these underperformed the S&P 500 by 38% during this time period on average. Let's see, how many do we have? 7 here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So 6 out of the 7 underperformed the S&P 500. The only one that hasn't is Apple. I still consider Apple really expensive relative to their expected earnings growth. But they have outperformed the S&P 500 by a little bit. But we avoided some major... And you'll look, these aren't like, no-name IPO SPAC businesses, right? You should recognize pretty much all these are brand names. Maybe you might not know Pentair, but I mean, we're talking Disney, PayPal, Nike, Estee Lauder, Apple. These are not small. So these are high-quality businesses. Everybody pretty much knows them. And whole point here is that doesn't matter because the earnings power relative to the price people were paying for them likely wasn't going to be there. Okay, and again, we are not even in a recession yet. So PayPal down almost 80%, Disney down 55%, Nike down 30%, Estee Lauder down 40%. This is at a time when the S&P 500 on average rose 17%. So, and even like Intuitive Surgical, okay, they're positive, but still underperforming and still not a particularly great return. So I would say I pretty much nailed all these. Apple's been kind of an outlier. We'll see what happens. I would expect that it would come down, but they're a great company. So we'll see how they navigate it. We'll see how many people just decide to stick with it. But on average, you can see that the methodology is working here. So my warnings, I don't know, what do we have here? Like maybe 15 stocks or something, 14 or 15. And the average, if you just took the basic average of all those, they were down, like 25%, we'll call it. So, or 20% maybe. While the S&P 500 was up, 16%, right? So huge underperformance. In the aggregate, it was pretty predictable, and I think if we have a recession, those will probably even get worse. So now, eventually these prices will get low enough I might step in and buy them on some of these if I don't think the business has kind of deteriorated too much. So, okay, Corey, you warned us about some of these stocks. Great job, right? What about the ones you thought were buys? All right, so let's look at those. So not all of them turned out well. Meta is down. I still own Meta. It's down 28%. Comcast is still total return down 11%. All the rest of them are positive, though. PBCT was a bank. I tried to pick a kind of a sample from different industries. So we have finance, we have healthcare, we have insurance, we have refining, we have internet / mega cap tech, we have media, and then PBC was a bank. They got bought out just a couple weeks after we bought them. So I just froze this performance at the point where it was announced that they got bought out, and then I just sold at the buyout price at that point. So the rest of these, I have actually personally sold Principal. I've taken profits in Valero and Sinclair, okay, and Allstate actually. So I own Elevance, which used to be AmerisourceBergen, I believe. In the original video, if you go searching through my videos, there are videos on each one of these. You can go look at them and see everything I was saying. You can see all the explanations, all that stuff. So I still have Elevance, I still have Meta, and I still have Comcast. The ones that I really pounded the table on actually were these refiners relative to Carnival. So I try to kind of pair these up with comparable type of investments. These were deep cyclical investments. I thought basically these refiners were home runs. I took a 6x position that I had 3 of them, and I doubled my weightings in all those. So, and I think we did like 100%. I didn't collect all this return, so we took profits a little bit earlier. But the general consent point here is, the S&P 500 returned about 15%. This basket of stocks returned 45%, and so we have triple the performance basically. So it's not just avoiding stuff. If the market gives us opportunities and we just kind of methodically pick away at the best ones that we think we can find at any given time, the strategies and stuff that I use, I think I use just my 2 main strategies. I have 2 more for like growth stocks, and I have one for REITs too that I don't really make videos on. But these 2 strategies are my 2 longest, the ones I've been using the longest. They're the most dependable. And we see that here where the ones you avoid underperformed 38%, or the ones I said to sell, and then the ones to buy outperformed 30%. So that's it. That's like the review. Once you guys start requesting stuff, I'll start making videos similar to the ones that I made earlier. And go ahead and put those requests in the comments. And I'll just queue them up. And as I have time, I have my private service that kind of gets the first batch of my time. And then I usually write like a public article a week or so. And then after that, I'll just look and see what these requests are, and I'll queue them up. And as I have time, I'll make the videos and post them. And I'll have more info on the Patreon that's coming probably next week. I'm in the process of setting that up and structuring it right now. Okay, thanks a lot. Obviously, this isn't like individual investing advice. I'm just sharing with everybody how I view things and how I am investing. So, like, these are all things that I actually bought. And you guys have a great day. Later.